Okay, my friends, now time to keep working with Cinema 4D. Now let's see something about animation. I'm going to set this cloud to another new layer, and we have this orange one, and let's hide everything but that one. And now you can see that right now, if I try to see where my object is, there is a difference between where my handle is and my object. And that is because I moved all of these objects randomly. Well, not randomly, but I moved them without taking that into consideration. You have to do that. Now, obviously, I created these objects at the center. So I'm going to take them all like this. And I'm going to go to the coordinates of these objects. And I'm going to say, you know what? I need to move them in the x-axis, which is the red one. I can see that because that's the direction that I want to move them. I'm going to set them to 0. 0, like that. And they're going to go all the way to the center. Now they are not at the center because my cloud object in here is not at the center, so I have to center this one, and now you can see that they look more centered. Now the problem with this is that my cloud object is not in zeros, so I'm going to take everything in here and set that in zeros in the cloud. And now with these spheres, I need now to make them come down just to the center. Now in here there's a lot of different tools that we can use in order to make things go to the center and you know, deal with a lot of cool things. But for now, just keep everything simple. So we're gonna have that like this, and I am actually gonna paint all of this in here with orange. So we have this object. Now let's animate it. All right, and you can see that this is our object in here. Let me just check where this thing is. All right, so perfect. Let's go back to the attributes, to the layers, excuse me, hide, and back to attributes. All right, so first things first, we have right now one object at the center, and I have a timeline in here. We're going to talk about animation. So we have in this case 90 frames, and 90 frames right now represent 3 seconds. 3 seconds of animation. How I know that? Because right now I can see that every 30 frames I get a value here, a line. That means that we are working at 30 frames per second. Now if I wanted to, I could change that value and make them 24 frames per second, which is what we'd use in film. But for now, just stay with me. We're going to work at 30. All right, we could change values. We have a lot of different options, and we could be working, we could talk about animation for 2 years, and still you will need to practice a lot. So believe me, animation is not hard, but well, I would say nothing is hard if you keep working on it, and you know, if you invest time and everything. So that's why I'm not afraid of anything. Just if I want to practice, if I have the time, I will do that. But all right, so we have this, and 30 frames per second, 1 second. All right, so I want to move this guy. I'm going to put this guy in here, right, in around this value. Now right now I am moving my cloud object, and you can see that the cloud object is again at zeros because I didn't move my object, I moved these spheres because these are the ones that are selected. I don't want to do that, so make sure that you are selecting the right object. In this case is the cloud, because that way you're going to have everything set to zeros, and it's going to be easier for you to locate where your objects are. So in this case, I'm going to move this guy into the Z axis, and I could say, yeah, just like that, because we can see that. Now I'm going to move it in this position, Z, and I am at frame 0. Now what I can do is click in this little guy, and that's going to create a keyframe. This keyframe, as you can see here, appears right in there. Now I can go and move my timeline all the way to 90 frames, which is 3 seconds, and then I can move this value all the way to the other side, or I can just bring this and drag it and put it in here because I want to be able to see it. Now I am at frame 90, not at frame 0. I move that, and you can see that this guy is not red because we haven't moved it. So we haven't clicked on it. Now I click on it, and you can see that it's red, and now because we have 2 frames with the key, now we get this pad. And now we actually have animation. So if I move this line, you can see that we have this cloud moving. Now if I hit play, you can see that in 3 seconds that object is going to get to its final destination, which is what we used. Now let's say that in between 90, let's say 45, at 45, I'm going to bring this guy to 45. Let's say that I want to move this object into here. All right, So I will put it in here. Now you can see that I am moving the whole thing in this area. Now if I click in here, I'm going to get another key, but now this key is living on the y-axis, and I don't have a key in between the y-axis. That's why it's nothing is going to happen. It's just like it looks like we just put the object a little bit higher, and that's it. Why? Because what we need to do, if we want to do something like that, I'm just going to undo that. I'm going to put that back. Is that I need to create a key on the specific object that I want to animate, in this case the Y channel. So I can click on that. I'm going to go to 90 again, to the 90 value, and I will click and create a keyframe. Now doesn't happen, it looks like nothing happens because I mean the Y position is still the same. But once I go to 45 and then I increase this value, okay, you can see that the line stays there, and once I click on this guy, oops, you get this result, and something happened here. Let me just go to frame 0, and yeah, I don't have a keyframe in here. I'm going to set that to 0 and then click on this, and now you can see that I get this arc, right? Because now we have animation again. Just going to rewind this and play, and you can see that it will take 3 seconds for me to get this kind of nice animation that I just created. So that's basically what happens with this. Now let me just bring the sun, where it is, right in here, and let's add it to another layer. So I'm going to add it to the orange layer, so now I can see it. And now this guy in here, the sun, if we take a look at its position, I don't know where it is. I am not using my camera. Yes, I'm using that camera, and you can see that it's far away. And if I try to move this guy, it's like just going little by little. So what I want to do is go to frame 0, and I want to use this, and I'm going to send it to something like 1000 first. Let's see, minus 1000. That's too small, so I'm going to go to 10,000, and maybe right there. And I'm going to create a keyframe here. So press in here, and that is how you can create a keyframe. Now I'm going to show you another way. I'm going to press Control Z in order to undo, and undo that operation, and you can see that there's nothing in here. Okay, it's not red. So another way will be to put 10,000. Wow, no. 10, 1, 2, 3, 10,000 minus, have to go underneath that. And another way of setting up a keyframe will be pressing Control and click right in here. Okay, Control and click. Now the thing is that when you do that, you're going to see that at that frame, all the values of position, the coordinate values, are going to get the same. All of them are going to get a value, a keyframe. So that's the difference between doing it by hand or doing an entire just control clicking here. So everything is going to be animated or set up for animation. Now what I can do is go to frame 90, and at frame 90 I want this value to be again 0, which is the point where we were. And then I can press Control and click on top of this value here, and now everything is going to get that. And now if I rewind and play, you can see that in 3 seconds we get this animation. And so that's the beauty of doing this kind of thing. Now another thing that we could do, and that's another trick that I want you to know, is that, for example, we can get, let's say, a cloner, and now we're going to make sure that the cloud is inside the cloner. And you can see that right now if I click on play, there's no animation on my clouds anymore. So I could just go and delete all the animation values that I have on this guy. If you want, you can just click on these guys and then go to 45 and just click again in this one and then go to 90, and I will just click on this and I get rid of the animation like that. Now the point is that my cloud, now it's set up to another value. I'm going to set that to 0, and everything is going to be like that at the center. And let me make sure that I am not using my camera. Alright, so I'm going to press S, select the cloud, S, or excuse me, the cloner, S, and I have these guys. So I want to change first the type of object that I'm using. I'm going to use linear, for example. And I'm going to change, right now I am changing or copying or cloning in the Y direction, and I don't want that. So I'm just going to make sure that I am doing that in the Z direction. So here it's going to go to 0. And in here I'm going to increase that to probably, I don't know, 200. I believe it's kind of the size of this. No, too small. So it will be a little bit more. Well, it's like 500 or something like that. All right. So it could be 600. And let's say that we want more copies. So there will be 10. All right. So we have 10 copies of that. Now there's a lot of different parameters that we can use. As you can see, we can change actually the size in Y, the size in Z, and then we will have to move a little bit more this farther away from each one of these copies. And we have well, different values for doing this. And if we change that to, well, you know, we will have to have a different type of setup. For example, if we want to create some sort of domino effect and things like that, we'll be using some of these things. Now, here I can manipulate the values of the amount of percentage that I'm going to be using for this manipulation. And I have these rotation values. And what I want to do is actually show you how you can animate these values. Anytime you see these little guys in here, these dots, that means that you could animate these values, and that's what makes this so interesting and nice. Like, can you see this? I can just create this animation, and let's say that at frame 0 I want to have this rotation. Just click like that, and then once I get to frame 90 I want to reduce this value to 0, 0, and 0. And then I will just click in here. Now let me just go back in here. You can see we have that. And now if I hit play, you can see that I am getting this kind of nice effect of my clouds. Now, what else can we do? Well, you can keep just adding and adding more things to this. I could take my cloner. And now this is the object level. I'm not moving the coordinates. The coordinates are still in 0. So what I can do is just move this guy and say that I want animation in here, and then once I get to 90, then I want the entire thing to be in here, all set up like this, and I will just click in here, and that's what I will get. Now rewind, play, and you can see that we don't see the actual animation. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to undo this, Control Z, and I wanted to probably end it a little bit like this. So right now it will go, oops, right now it will go like this. So probably I could change the behavior and make sure that once I get to the end I don't get to 0, or I go all the way to this other value, and then Control click again. And now I'm gonna get this, and probably we will start in here and go to coordinates again, move that, and now you can see here's the value that I want to move. Then go to frame 90, move this guy to here, and create that animation. Now let's see if we can see something better. And you can see that we have now a little bit more kind of interactive kind of effect. And it's not really about animation right now. I don't want to have a really cool animation. It's just that I want you to see some sort of effect going on, dramatic effect, so that you can see better what's going on, and that looks a lot nicer. So there we go. Now we can go back to our camera. Okay, we can make sure that all our layers are visible, and everything is visible. What happened with my camera? Come on, both of them gone. All right, so I will have to try to make it in place again. So not that hard anyways, but you know, we can take a look in here. We will place it right here, and now you can see that my animation is going to run like this, and it's not actually in place. Now I could start working with the entire animation again, or I have another trick, which is using a null object. And now this cloner is going to go inside this null object. And now all I have to do is just move this object. And now the thing is that if I move this object, I don't have to worry about the animation. The animation is going to stay, you know, in place, but I am just moving that specific object. So now if I move and place my camera in here, I can take the null object, go to attributes, and I can go to coordinates and I can move these guys and make them pop up like this. And now I'm going to get this. Let's go play. And you can see the sun and this and the actual clouds animating in my frame. So I hope you have an idea. You get the idea of how you can start animating in your projects, and I will see you in our next class. Bye bye for now, and take care, my friends.